Good evening, I'm Julie Chen.
Wake up, everybody!
But first,
I cannot. On my daughter's birthday. Disgusting. Anybody want cake?
I want to welcome you guys all to my big brother funeral.
Can't find an individual to hate, because I hate you all.
Welcome to Not Gaming, all personal. Hey, we are a Big Brother podcast here to talk about all things Big Brother, more specifically the events of this past week. Week 1, a full 8 days now of Big Brother 25. I'm Nathan. This is Tony. Tony, how is what's the gauge like tonight on our Big Brother 25 so far? You still feeling good about the season? Yeah, you leaving the week a little cold. Like, how are we feeling going into tonight?
I am still feeling pretty decent. I think there's one specific thing that put a little bit of a damper on the season, and also I'm still hesitant about the Suri Jared situation and how that's going to affect the season as a whole. But other than that, I'd say that I'm very positive.
I'm glad to hear it.
What about you?
I'm very positive. I am riding high. I have had so much fun this week watching so many live feeds, more than I usually do. And I don't know if that's the Suri factor, if that's the messy alliance of week 1 factor that I'm enjoying, but it's been fun to keep up online. I'm really riding high right now. I'm trying to temper myself, though, because I know, and I feel like this is something I wanted to ask you about, because I feel like this has been such a trend, especially the past few seasons, where we have had some really great week 1s. I mean, you think last year was the whole Paloma situation, where before she was expelled, she was fun to watch on live feeds.
She was a lot of fun. I think we were both in that camp where we're like, oh, this is a bummer. I mean, like, mental health is important, but also a bummer that she's leaving.
And then the year before was the Frenchie HOH, which is iconic. So I think watching this week, I was watching with that knowledge, like, this is a pattern, and that almost disappointed me a little bit, because I'm like, this isn't going to last. I'm not going to enjoy this the whole season. There's going to reach a point where it's going to fall off, and I'm just going to be bored. So it was really hard to, like, enjoy myself completely with that in the back of my mind. But
would you say there's ever been any season that's held your attention that tightly throughout the whole season?
Oh, that's a good question.
I feel like almost every season probably has ups and lows, highs and lows.
I think we've talked about this before, but I think season 21 had a solid end. Like, there was at least moves being made in the final 4 and final 5. Like, bigger moves and exciting moves. Like, you didn't really know where it was going to go. I mean, like, I think we kind of assumed, like, Jackson was the front runner, but how he got there was still interesting. Maybe season 20 wasn't completely dull, but no, I mean, I think you're right. I think that's
remember that one being pretty boring towards the end.
Yeah, and I think that's just generally, like, the nature of Big Brother, you know?
Yeah,
And
I think it's probably fair.
because I think we've talked about it where Survivor has really figured it out. Like, once you get to the final 5, let's just wrap this up one episode. We don't need to see week after week, which is not the lesson Big Brother has learned. They are only extending the days.
Part of Big Brother is, like, I kind of understand it, because part of Big Brother is the, like, extended period of time. You're just being watched 24/7, and you just gotta figure it out. You gotta, like, it's an endurance situation, more so than I think other games that are similar.
Sure. Yeah, and I could see that, you know, and, like, I get it. That is the point. I think it wouldn't really be the same if they did try to get, like, more than one person out a week. But it just, I don't know, it makes these beginnings exciting. So I think with that in mind, I've just really tried to hone in on this week, knowing that we probably only have another 4, maybe 5 weeks of this level of excitement before it's probably going to just ride out till the end.
It might be a fun end game. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to be wrong about that. And again, I'm sorry that I'm so negative on this, what I am describing as an exciting week of Big Brother.
Yeah. You're so high, and yet you're so pessimistic at the same time.
All right, well, let's get the worst part of the episode out of the way.
Yeah, let's get it out.
Because this seems to be something that we talk about every single year. So I don't know about you. I don't even really have much to say about it other than, like, the matter of fact that Luke is no longer in the house.
Yep, and rightfully so. He's out of here. It's in the rules that you can't do that, and he just clearly did it very casually. Get out of here.
I will say, like, in some ways, I'm glad it was this extreme of an action he took so that there's a definitive rule. Whereas I think, like, with the Kyle
Yeah.
situation last year, obviously, like, they couldn't kick him out because of that. And so that just led to weeks and weeks of bitterness on the internet and
Mm-hmm.
so much more discourse around it, where this is like a clear, hard fact. Like, nope, that's bad. He knew it was bad. Like, he recognized it in the moment, you know, like, is that good? No. I mean, like, obviously, I don't, you know, but at least, like, now it's done. Big Brother took a stance and we can hopefully move on.
Yeah, I'm just hopeful that this is like. I feel like we've dealt with race stuff each season. Not that it's things that need to be dealt with, but hopefully this is like, okay, it happened, cool. Now that we're like, we don't have to deal with this sort of thing for the rest of the season. We've like gotten it out. They've gotten it out of their system. It scared some of them into not saying things that they shouldn't say. So, yeah, hopeful for the rest of the season.
Yeah, you would think that you wouldn't need a situation like this to know not to say that, but I guess not.
It just seems so. Yeah, for him, it just seemed like it was a casual thing for him, and that's tough. But anyways, yep, that happened. Good.
The only thing I want to say about Luke is, did you keep up at all with the conspiracy about him this week?
No.
So, along with so many internet rumors, which we can decide how much we want to get into them of what people are saying might happen this year. One of them, I don't even remember how this started, but people were speculating that there was going to be another twin twist this season. And I think just because up until this moment, he had almost nothing to do, like, with anyone or like, he was just not on the live feeds. He wasn't gaming, nothing. So people kind of jumped to speculating that he was a twin. And I mean, they were taking screenshots night to night, trying to compare the two. And it like turned into a meme. Like, I don't think people really believed it. It was just one of those things like, oh, there's Luke and his twin again. And so I want to continue that conspiracy and believe that either this was like an evil twin that did it, or maybe his twin is going to come out super bitter because his twin was also kicked out. Or if, like, okay, let's say that Luke got kicked out, but his twin still got to play, would the Houseguests even believe it? You know, like, I want it to
They
be
would
true
have to
so
show
bad.
both of them, and then be like, yes, there's two of them. Both of them would have to go into the house, and then they'd have to pull Luke out. Like, that's the only way that you could really make that happen.
All right, Houseguests, we have a twist. There were two Lukes the whole time, except this one is getting kicked out and this one is staying.
This one did something bad. Yeah.
But it was a fun little conspiracy that is, I guess, not true now. Confirmed.
Yeah. Well, we don't know. We don't know for sure yet, do we?
I mean, I guess we wouldn't know that they wouldn't reveal that, right, in the episode, probably.
I feel like you'd be able to find out pretty quickly.
I think Big Brother would just take it to their grave. Like, they wouldn't say, like,
Really?
it just, maybe.
Bold. And he's not going to be on social media.
He was tonight.
He was?
He posted on Instagram a picture of cheese because he was talking about the cheese room when he said the word. So I don't really understand what he was going for there. It doesn't feel like it was very tasteful, but I'm not going to speculate. That's just what he posted, so.
All right, moving on. I'm over this guy. I'm so okay. He was such a nothing that I'm so okay with him being gone.
Well, that's two, because the next thing I have here is to kind of break down the alliances. I don't know if that's what you want to talk about next.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Because he was not in any alliance at all. I mean,
No.
I saw one graphic that I think did a pretty good job of breaking it down, and it was Luke and Kirsten that were just right there in the middle of no alliance, and that's kind of how it was. Which, spoiler alert, Kirsten went home tonight, 13-0. Not surprising.
Nope.
Yeah. So
Never a doubt.
we kind of had two different alliances form this week. And again, this is week one, so I'm even hesitant to dive into this too deep because who knows how long these are going to last. But the first one was the Handful, which was created by essentially Riley, who was the HOH. I don't know if she was the one that like really initiated it, but I think her being HOH, I think people are kind of viewing her as the leader, just 'cause she was the one with power this week. So it was her, Jag, Cameron, Blue, and Matt. Those were the 5. Then they kind of pulled in some extra votes with America, Corey, and Jared. And I feel like they had another name that I didn't write down for this larger 8. Could be wrong though.
I didn't know what any other name was.
Okay. So the Handful is specifically the 5, and then the other 3 people are just kind of their extra numbers to work with. So nothing too surprising. I mean, that's just the typical modern Big Brother large alliance, right? You got your layers. Yeah, I mean, do you want to talk about them at all, or should I read off the second alliance of
Not really. The big thing about them, I think, is that they were all in the same room, and that's how they came together. They were all in scary room. Yeah, the scary room, because
Yes.
there were also the hands on the wall, and that was also like part of the Handful thing for those original 5. I did see tweets that they might have already started breaking up, so we can maybe get into that later. But as
Yeah.
of at least the veto ceremony, this was one of the alliances. Those 5 plus the 3.
Correct. Yes. And then we have a rival alliance. It's called the Bye Bye Bitches.
That it is.
That's what it's called. I don't know how often I'll call it, just because I feel weird referring to 5 females like that, but who knows?
Well, isn't it also Heisem? Isn't he in there?
Well, no. So the 5. So this is
He's
the crazy
outside of
part.
that. Okay.
Yeah. So it was the 5 of them, which was Suri, Felicia, Bowie, Izzy, and Mimi. Okay, so those were the 5.
Interesting.
And they did the same thing where they pulled in an extra 3. They pulled in Red, Hissam. Is that Hissam?
Heisem.
Hissam. Why? I'm going to struggle with this all year. I'm so sorry, Hissam.
I've heard people mess up Felicia. I've heard people mess up Suri. There's just tough names, I guess, in this season.
I guess so. And then there's Jared. So those 3 guys are round out the 8. So they pulled. I mean, Jared is just there by default, obviously. And then Red and Hissam, they kind of pulled in as a, hey, the 7 of us are all older, so we're going to be called the professors. So the same thing. We got the bye-byes are the 5 of them within this 7-person professors alliance, and then Jared's kind of just the number who's feeding Suri information. So that's kind of where we're at. We are at a split house, Jared in the middle, and it's pretty crazy.
Is Jared considered a number for Suri's side for the bye bye bitches?
That is
like,
yes.
Does everybody else other than Suri consider him part of that?
That's a good question, and I don't know if I actually know the answer to that off the top of my head.
Because like we would consider him because Suri is there and they're obviously working very closely. But yeah, I would wonder. I'm not entirely sure if the rest of the crew know that. Well, I guess Izzy does. Izzy's all in on Jared, so he's probably intended.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. So I feel like they're probably just like, oh yeah, Jared's voting with us. But I would guess that Hissam and Red probably don't know because Jared's not a professor. He's not old enough. You gotta be at least. You gotta be at least 32.
Absolutely, everybody knows that.
I checked because I had to see how old Izzy was. She's 32, so that's the cutoff, I guess.
Well, Cameron's in the Handful, and he's older than that, so he's.
Yeah, there's a
whole thing about Cameron that we'll probably talk about.
Well, but I think that was part of it, and I think that's the interesting thing about this alliance is it really was formed in response to them noticing the 5 of them, and also, I mean, I should say Jared told Suri about the 8-person alliance.
Yeah.
So this is where it gets a little messy having like a mother-son because it is just automatically an unfair advantage because like normally you couldn't rely on someone to give you that kind of information. So I don't know. It's kind of unfortunate because it's like not even Riley or Jag, or it's not any of their faults that like they can't trust Jared. They just like included the wrong 8th person, and I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, and It's tough because Kirsten was definitely playing too hard, too fast. But especially in the show what they showed us, but I think this probably wasn't the whole story. She formed an alliance with Jared and then went and formed an alliance with Suri. And then it was their correspondence together that was like, oh, she's playing the whole house. And then it spread from there. So it's literally that's the reason that she got taken out.
Right.
And I don't think that would have it might have still happened in any other season. And that's what makes it tough. Those two being in the house is that like it's fun because I like them. But
Yeah.
also it's like, this feels unfair. Hopefully people figure it out sooner rather than later because that'll definitely even the playing field.
Yeah, it definitely compromises the like integrity of like the pure game. Because it's
Mhm.
just this automatic advantage that they would. I mean, they would have this automatic advantage even if people knew about it. The fact that people don't know about it, I mean, like for future seasons, like I mean, this is where my mind always goes. I'm like, how will this affect future seasons? Like if I'm going in Big Brother, I'm always going to have in the back of my mind, like, hey, two people in here might be related and not telling me. You know, like this is a thing that has happened multiple times now in Big Brother, and so it's just kind of like tough to to navigate that. And like, even if you think you can fully trust someone, his mom might be in here. That's tough.
There's a part of me that really wishes that they would run back BB6 and just have everybody come in with a partner and somebody that they know.
I
And just
think
let them figure it out.
I think BB6 did it the best too, because it was fun how it wasn't like public knowledge, if I'm remembering correct. So like
No.
you and I went in and we knew we were a partner, but like
Yeah.
nobody knew that everyone else had a partner. So it was
You
this.
thought you were the only one.
Yeah. So that was very fun the way that that was kind of revealed, because even like for the audience, it wasn't. And then maybe it was different watching it live. I obviously watched it a year later. But like it wasn't announced on the first episode. Like it was a couple episodes
Mhm.
in where they finally let the
Mhm.
audience in on it. Like, hey, people in here know each other. I'm like, oh, this is cool. So that would be a fun twist to it.
They did a lot of that stuff in those first 10 seasons. They had the exes twist, they had actual long lost siblings. Like that's wild, and the original twin twist. They had BB9, which is awful, but you got paired up with like they took compatibility tests and you got paired up with who you were most compatible with. So people would come in with their girlfriend or boyfriend and then they'd be matched up with someone else because they were more compatible with them. Like that was interesting. That was fun. Well, not that one as much, but yeah, the twists were so wild back then. And they just don't do that anymore.
No, that's very interesting to like, I don't know, like kind of see like when they really stopped doing that. Because even like Survivor would at least branch out every now and then with something,
Mhm.
you know? Like, I mean, Blood vs. Water was a little more recent, but I think that's a good example. Season 13, which I don't think went super well with Cook Islands, but
Mhm.
dividing up
Mhm.
different races, I guess, or
That was
ethnicities.
that was a fascinating season because it was like, oh, this is what it would look like if it was a truly diverse cast. And then I think the next season, Fiji, it was still a pretty diverse cast.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it was just not anymore again.
Right. Yeah, so I don't. It's interesting to kind of see like when that stopped and when it kind of went with straight casting. But I guess we're back to it for now. Is it worth
That was a little
mentioning
tangent.
the? Is it worth speculating at all about this 18th house guest that the internet thinks is going to happen? Like, is that done
I
now?
I thought we were gonna get one, and I wanted to really bad. I really wanted them. I thought they were gonna like be like, hey guys, you can vote to bring Kirsten back, or you can vote to bring in somebody new. And I thought that would have been really interesting to make them decide that. But then Julie shared a ton of information with Kirsten. I was like, that's not happening. Yeah, I
No.
wanted there to be someone else, just because if there's someone else in the house who is like a famous person or something, that at least it equals the playing field with Suri a little bit. I think adding another like great player as well to like make it more interesting. Just adding one is tough, so I was hoping.
Yeah. I mean, like we're confident it's not happening, right? Like it can't at
Yeah.
this point. Okay.
Even tonight would have been really late to do that.
Yeah, and yeah, I do think it's a missed opportunity, because especially like we were talking like with the Big Brother multiverse that apparently still happening. 'Cause all the house guests are now disappeared at the end of this episode. But
What happened to him?
I don't care. But like that's a good idea to utilize that, right? Like bring in someone from Survivor, bring in someone from another show. Like there are people who would play this, and I have to imagine that. Actually, I know for a fact that Suri is getting more viewers on this show. Like I've
Oh,
had people
absolutely.
I know personally that like are asked like, "Hey, like I heard Suri's on, maybe I'll start watching Big Brother." So like
Yeah.
it's a good move. I don't know why they don't
And it's
better
working the
utilize
other
it.
way too. People see Cerie, they're like, "Oh, wait, I should go watch her seasons on
Mm-hmm.
Survivor to get a feel for her." Oh, I really like Survivor. I'm all in on this. Like, this is just great to have that cross show
Yeah.
coverage with especially the most beloved people from the game.
Right. I mean, it helps that it's Suri, who's probably one of the most universally loved Survivor players.
Hmm.
Probably her and like Russell, right?
Yeah, everybody loves Russell. Everybody's a big Russell fan.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Jared and Suri, because when we talked last week, we were not made clear of how it all went down with them. Like if Jared
Mhm.
was finding out for the first time, we knew that Izzy eventually knew, but we didn't know how quick. So it turns out Jared and Suri knew the whole time. Jared was fully aware
Mhm.
that his mom was going to play the game before the episode even started. Izzy did not wait a second to pull Jared aside.
Izzy's just so much, dude. Like she's oh my lord, I don't know how to handle what she does and how she plays this game. She's she's insane in the nicest way possible because she's so much fun to watch, but she has so much energy and is just like not very good at the game, so it's very very sloppy, I would say. Correct me if you think I'm wrong. And to think I know this, and now is the time to say it in front of everybody. And even if you pull the two away and have a conversation, people see that because they're looking for stuff like that. And that's an issue. Like right there, you can't be doing that. And she said it right there next to Bowie. Bowie was right there. She absolutely could have heard that. That'd be awesome if she just like had that in her pocket this whole time and she just knows.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the biggest question. Is like, is that the best you could have done with that information? I don't know. It's just insane. And like I'm not even saying cuz like you could talk me into like telling them right away is the best move. Okay, I'm not saying it's like the wrong move necessarily. Like maybe that's better, but like the fact that she didn't even think about it. She didn't weigh out the
No.
pros and cons. It was initial instinct like Cerise's in the house. Hey, Jared, over here. Like what? Yeah, no, I
And
think you
then
said
just
it best.
announcing loudly.
Right. And but like I do think I don't know if it's a horrible move because I think in one hand she guaranteed this three-person alliance with them. And in some ways she has the upper hand because if she says anything to anyone, their game is done. Like
Mhm.
if they're not the ones, if she is the one to tell people that information and it's not coming from Suri or Jared, like that's hard. That's hard on them. And so I do think she has the upper hand in that way. So it's almost like she has this leverage where, okay, now you have to work with me. You have to string me along. However, her gameplay this week is not making it easy for them, and I don't know how long
It is
Suri's
not.
gonna deal with this.
I think my favorite was when Jared told Suri and seeing her face, like seeing her lock on to Izzy and be like, "You good? Like, are we good?" Like, just immediately, like, "Are we gonna fight right now? Because I'll fight you right now
Yep,
if it
yep.
means that I protect this secret." And then as soon as Izzy was like, "I'll never tell anyone," she was like, "Oh, come here, give me a hug," and like went back to the Suri we know. But we saw that like, yeah, that just deadly Suri for a second. It was so great.
I loved it. I loved it so much. Yeah, cause oh man, it's like I don't know. I think if it was anyone else in the house, Suri might feel better about it. There was one moment, I forget. I think it was when Izzy was talking to either Riley or Cameron. I don't know if this was in the episode. I don't think it was. I think it was just like on live feeds. And she was kind of like, I mean, we saw tonight where there were people getting really confident just talking to Riley openly about her alliance, just kind of like, yeah, we know, ha ha ha, which was, you
Yeah,
know.
we'll talk about that.
But
So
it was
dumb.
one moment where like Izzy had done that, I think, to Cameron, and I think Suri and Jared were talking, and she was almost like, "Oh no, I'll let this happen." She's like, "Cause let's be honest, like if Izzy goes home before us, that means we don't have to like protect her anymore, and she can't. You know what I mean? Like better them take her out than us because we can't target her. Like we cannot aim for her right now." And so I think that is the advantage that Izzy has, and I am very curious to see if Suri finds a creative way to get someone else to take her out.
I don't think Suri's going to need to do anything based on what we saw tonight. When she's this is like the best example that I have that I've like watched the full well, what I think is the full thing of, and just talking to Riley and just being like, "Can I interrupt you? We both know we're on different sides, and I just want you to know that we're good, but I'm definitely going for your side." Like, how is that? Like, I understand doing that like 5 weeks deep. The alliance lines are drawn and firm. Then you have that conversation where it's like, everybody knows what this is. We're going after each other, and that's fine. But doing that week 1 before the first eviction is just an outrageous move. I want Izzy to win HOH so bad. That's my take. I want her to win HOH so bad because it will be a disaster. It'll be so funny. She'll feel like the Godfather the way that she's having meetings in there.
Right. Oh man, that's now you got me thinking. Who do I want to win HOH? Because there's so many good options for maximum chaos. But Izzy's up there. Like I don't know what she would do with that power.
She'd take a shot, but she would just talk so much and just say so many things that she shouldn't say. Not like inappropriate things, just like poor gameplay things.
Yeah.
Because even after she went and had this conversation with Riley, she went back to Suri and was like, "I did so good. Like, I interrupted her because she kept saying the same thing." And that, no, if somebody keeps saying the same thing, you let them do that, but you like note that they're not giving you anything.
Right.
You don't.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do that. So at least that's how I would play Big Brother. I don't want to judge because there are people who've been successful being that like straightforward, no nonsense, whatever. But man, what a wild move.
Yeah, has definitely caused the most entertaining feats. I will say that because Izzy is nonstop. I mean, if she is on the camera, she is gaming. Like that's just she is talking circles around her alliance members. Like I don't know, and it makes me very nervous that I did pick her in our little draft of like people I think that could go far. But I'm riding hard with her. Like I'm so in on Izzy. I want her to go all the way because I just want this to continue. It's so entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you said that you liked her last week, I was like, really? I don't see it. Like, I'm not interested in Izzy. And I still don't like Izzy. I like the chaos and like the confidence she has, I think, more than anything.
Sure. Yeah, I'll take that. All in on Izzy. You heard it here first.
Yep, that's what I said. That's absolutely what I said.
The other person I wanted to bring up that's talking a lot to Suri is Corey. And I am so curious on Corey's game. And I think it's just because like he's that other person this season who has some relative in the reality TV universe. And so I think that's why more eyes are on him as opposed to other people that so I'm dissecting his game more than other people. Not fair, whatever. But when he's just openly talking to Suri about Survivor, and then you see her in the DR being like, "You should not be telling me how good of a player I am to my face," because that's telling me that you know my like. I mean, Corey, you got to zip that up a little bit.
You were robbed in Micronesia. Like, don't tell her that. That just says that you know way too much, dude.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I do love that he's going full Timmy Turner cosplay though. Just every second he can. Nice
Hey,
little
he
pink
fits the
hat.
bill, honestly.
Bill, because of hat.
Thanks, man. I nailed that joke. Yeah, he's an interesting case because I wonder how much his brother being on Survivor really helps him in the game. His brother was on Survivor for like 3 days. I'm not trying to be mean to him. That's just genuinely what happened. He was out pretty quick. I think he was first out.
He was.
He was.
That was.
Yeah.
I mean, did you catch Corey's shout out tonight? Beaches, Zach.
No.
He said that leaving the
that's very
diary
funny.
room. Yeah.
That's actually a very funny shout out. I always ignore those. That's a very funny shout out. And I think he is built in a lot of ways to play the game. I think he knows what he's doing, but he's just way too starstruck right now. And so as long as he gets over that, I think he's got the mind for it for sure. I'm still interested to see this persuasion. I guess you could say he persuaded Riley into taking him off the block. I think she was going to do that either way. I don't think that was a big sell. Um, yeah, I'm very interested to see what the season shows for Corey. He's an interesting one to watch.
Yes. It's also interesting that he went to the Nether region, which meant almost nothing. Which
Well, they said this week they would be in there longer, I think.
yes, you're right. It's just funny because last week we just had the one episode, and that's how it ended. It was like, how long is he gonna be gone? And the live feeds came on, and it was like, oh, maybe an hour he was there.
Yeah.
And then we see the episode air, and he was like not even gone. It was like they went back in the
No.
house and he was there already. So it's just the goofiest thing. And like, if it means something tonight or whenever they do the HOH competition, then great, whatever. But like, it's just, I don't know. I love that Big Brother continues to do these twists that absolutely nothing, and it feels like they even have given up on it. Where it's like, yeah, another reason, yeah, no, it's nothing. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think of Sam from Big Brother 20. And granted, she wasn't super affected by it. She got a lot of sympathy for it even, but I feel like taking somebody out of the beginnings of the game like that is just way too big of a disadvantage, and you just can't do that to someone. And so I feel like they had to let him out relatively soon. Otherwise, yeah, he would just be frozen out of everything, and that's not fair just because he lost. He happened to choose the competition and lost it. That would cause him to do that. Like, that's not great.
Right. Yeah, no, I think you're right. It makes me even more curious though, like what they're gonna do with it this week. If that is still like, how long can they actually take someone out of the game? You know, like any like
Mm-hmm.
I don't like yeah, week one, obviously night one, but like no matter when it is, like you miss a couple of days of gameplay, that's huge. So I'm so curious to see if they actually follow through with that in any substantial way.
What do they call it in Survivor when they just send them off to Exile Island? It feels similar to that, where it's like you just don't get time to strategize. I don't know if they'd bring you back before the live show. I don't think it would go to that extent, but keeping you out of the planning before the first nomination, I feel like is a big punishment. So that would make sense to me.
That's a good comparison. And I wonder if the Nether region this time around would offer them some form of an advantage as well, kind of like Exile Island does, or like the chance at that. Uh, that'd be interesting. But
I think it'd be very interesting if an immunity idol slipped through. I saw this on Reddit. Somebody posted about like, oh, Suri slipped through the multiverse or whatever and is now playing Big Brother. I think that's what they're going for with her being there. Has there been other things that have slipped through? Like, is there like a hidden immunity idol somewhere in the house or in the nether regions? Like that would be a fun little wrinkle. How that would work, I'm not quite sure, but I think that'd be a lot of fun.
yes, while you're saying that, it makes me even more frustrated the theme though, because like even Suri being in the game, they didn't even explain it as an explanation. Like they didn't
No.
say that's why. So I almost feel like we're just inserting and trying to do the work for them to make it make sense. Because like that would have been
Yeah.
such an easy thing. You know how like
Yeah.
her introduction was so awkward. She's just standing there in the kitchen. No one even knows. Everyone's like, "Wait, you were on Survivor, right?" Julie could have easily done that stupid animation of the blue, circle thing, the Doctor Strange whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
just been like, "Oh, we have a break in the multiverse." Cerise, like, but they
They
didn't
could
do
have
that.
edited it into like an old confessional or something from Survivor and had her like going through it or had like her walking or something and she goes through it
Mm-hmm.
and then like, oh look, she's gone now. Oh look, she's in the Big Brother house. It's like she's playing this instead of playing Survivor. But no, they just were like, yep, she's here.
Yeah,
Don't ask why. It's definitely not because her sons are right there or anything. Don't worry.
that's so frustrating. The more I think about this stupid theme, the more I realize that nobody knows anything. They just want to do whatever's cool and trendy.
In their defense, there's no writers right now. So nobody's writing this. Julie's just making it up on the
That's
spot.
true. You
That's what's
know,
happening.
oh man, that's very true. This is all just Julie Chen, just coming in and just doing it herself.
I've heard of a multiverse. Let's see. Can we do something like that?
Oh man, no, if she had full control, it would be something very overly spiritual or God
Yeah.
oriented. Let's be
Love
honest.
one another. Hey, we're all for God oriented.
We're gonna
But
this
it's a
season.
lot.
This season, the theme is God. There's the more you read your Bible, the more advantages you'll get in the game.
Amen. Oh, I love that. I love that so much.
Oh man! All right, what else do I got on my notes here? You want to talk about the veto at all? There's not a lot to talk about with it. I mean, it was pretty straightforward. Tyson won. I did write down.
I think he's going to be a problem when it comes to comps this season.
Yes, and I think it's just what's it called that he does? What kind of dancing?
Burlesque dancing.
Yes. Because when he did the competition, I was like, oh wait, like he actually does have a body that could be like suited to a lot of these like silly little things. Not that what he does is silly, but
No, but
it's
he's
the-
got like the balance and the coordination. I think that could be super valuable, and he's like in very good shape.
right, and that's like more helpful than a lot of these athletic people. You know, like if you
Look at Riley. Riley was fast and balanced, and she won that first HOH. That's what that's a lot of times what it takes.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, because I mean, you even look at like the compies of recent years. It was Michael. It was like Derek X. You know, it's like these people that I don't think on initial cast release you'd be like, oh, these are gonna be the compies of the entire season. So
Bessie and Mark and like some of these massive muscular dudes were never the intimidating ones.
no, nope, not at all. So
And I guess you have Jackson and Jack who are pretty dominant. So it's a mixed bag. Just because you're massive or muscular doesn't mean you're going to be good. It's usually a different skill set.
who is the muscular one? Is it Matt?
Maybe they don't have anybody that's massive like that.
Luke was bigger, but Luke was more like the nerd and not so much like the muscle. That's how I.
He was a
saw
fascinating
him.
individual. That's just because he wore glasses. That's the only reason you think that.
No, wasn't his job something like that?
I'm gonna go with it's just the glasses.
I'm
and you're a
looking
bad
up his
person.
job right now because I don't want you talking to me like I'm judging people based on what they wear over their eyes.
He's an illustrator. He draws.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that a nerdy thing, Nathan?
that's not like an athletic thing. It's not like he was a D1 football player or something like Fessy.
It wouldn't say that if he was. It only did that for what's his name from BB17, Clayton.
Clay.
Just Clay. It might have just been Clay.
He just
His
added
big
the
thing was that he
Clayton.
played for Texas A&M. I did. It felt right. I don't know.
Clayton is a Texas A&M guy. There's no Texas A&M this year.
Disappointing, dude.
That's not like them. My favorite
Heisman won
parts about him winning the veto was when he decided not to use it, and his reasoning in front of everyone was, I could never decide between the two of you, so I'm gonna let the house decide. I loved that logic so much.
And then to vote, he decided between the two of them. I think that might be my favorite wrinkle.
I didn't even think about that.
2 or 3 days later, he decided between them.
he
Just
did
actively.
decide. Oh man, yeah, he should have went in there and be like, Julie, I'm gonna pass on this one. I'm voting present.
These speeches, like nobody knows how to actually like speak and make a decision and like comfort anybody. They're so bad. Riley's was so bad after she was like, I'm so sorry, you guys are great. This HOH thing is so hard. Like I'm really struggling. It's like, don't do that. Don't make yourself the victim here. They're the ones on the like. I just don't.
Yep.
It's so frustrating. I feel like I would be better. Realistically, I would probably be just as bad because you ramble when you're uncomfortable and not sure what to say. That's just natural. But I would go in. I'd be like, it's a game. I had to pick. I'm sorry. This felt like this would be better for me in the long run. There's still a veto, so good luck. I feel like I would just do that and call it good. But then I'd be a bad person for not being gentle enough, probably.
I don't know. I mean, are they really looking at his speech and being like, oh, wow, he was in such a hard position. he did the right thing. Like, I'm glad he didn't pick me or you, or, like, out of here.
I feel like the hard part is you do have to say just enough that it's not that they can't be mad at you about it. So you can't just be like, this is what I decided. Game's the game. Sorry, like I wasn't excited to choose between the two of you, but this is what I've done. They'd be mad about that because they're like, oh, you just dismissed it. But so people go into these long rants to say just enough that they're not going to be upset about the decision or
Yeah.
hold it against you.
Yeah, it is a tough position because I think like the honest truth is like you just don't want to show your hands that early, like
Absolutely
you
not.
don't want to get blood, like you just want to like let's just leave it the same. This doesn't affect me. We have the number, so even though I'm working with Felicia, she'll be safe. She, like there's all these things, but you just don't want to say it. So like not using the correct choice if you want to just stay out of the mix for now.
And Felicia knew he was making that decision, so he didn't have to be nice to her. Kirsten's probably going out, so you're really just delivering the like, I'm sorry to her, because she's not somebody that you actively work with. I'd rather say less and talk to each of them separately, but hey,
I think the
I'm not in the Big Brother house.
the safest way to go about that every time is just blame it on the HOH. Just go, you know
Yeah.
what? I want to respect the HOH's wishes. Blah, blah. That probably wouldn't work in this case because she didn't technically nominate them, but usually that's the route to go.
Earlier today, I was thinking about Big Brother, and I was getting annoyed, and I was like, man, the stupid, like, respecting the HOH's wishes. So I was like, dream scenario, I'm in Big Brother, I'm HOH, I put up 2 people, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, who's your target? Who's your target? And it's like, it doesn't matter who my target is. It's your job to choose. I'm not going to give you who to choose. I'm going to give you 2 options. You pick which one you'd like to go out, and that's how the game works. You are under no obligation to do what I want to happen. Me winning that competition means I get to pick 2 options, maybe 3 options, and you have to pick from those. This whole respecting the HOH, I would be the HOH. It's like, do whatever you want. I don't care. It's final 5, and I really need one person out, but you make your decision because this isn't what we're here for.
I think I always remember Jerry from Big Brother 10, his first week. That was what his speech was. I mean, it was easy because it was Remy and Jesse who like got into that argument, and he like nominated both. He's like, there was an issue in the house last night. These 2 people were in the middle of it, so I'm gonna let the house decide, and that was it. Like, end of story. Until he got persuaded into nominating Brian. But
until the entire house went up to his room and even then he could be like, the house told me they were having issues with you. Deuces, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
yeah,
And
but like I think that's even proves your example where it wasn't the HOH's wishes. They went with the opposite. No, you nominate this guy that you said you wouldn't nominate. You do that now, Jerry, and he did it. So it's like, yes, the HOH shouldn't have this much say or power.
Absolutely not. And yeah, I'm the HOH. Obviously, I'm going to tell my allies this is my target. This is the person where is the team going for. But for everybody, it's like you pick.
Mm-hmm.
I have a target. I have somebody that I'd like to get out, but I gave you 2 options and you make your decision. It's not my job to make that decision for you.
I even think
But it's hard to do that as the HOH because you can get people to vote out the person you want them to, so you're going to do that. But I just hate this idea because if I'm a house guest, I want to vote out who I want to vote out. I don't care what you say.
Yeah, and I think especially if you're the HOH, I do think there might be something to kind of seeing where the votes lie, because I think like we had a unanimous vote tonight, and what that does is tell us practically nothing about where people are at. Like we know where they're at, they have a good idea where people are at, but like according to the votes, they all voted the same. So I don't know, like if you're the HOH, don't you want to just see where some people lie? Like that happens in Survivor all the time. Like there's not these unanimous votes. It's always this like, hey, you didn't tell me we were voting this way. Now you made me look silly for voting the other way. I just feel like that could be better utilized in Big Brother.
Yeah, it's super interesting because I feel like we've complained over and over, but just this past season of Survivor, we talked a lot about the idea of voting with the group just to not show your cards yet. That's an interesting thing that I guess is utilized. It's definitely utilized in Big Brother, but you never know who actually voted for who. That's the thing, I think. I still would be interested in them not sharing the totals of who was voted out, but it does inform the game a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah,
don't know.
and I think like the most you see that utilized is when some people will do like a rogue vote, and that usually happens in Survivor way more than Big Brother. And because anytime there's like a rogue vote in Big Brother, it's like who was that one vote? And it's like it was one vote, doesn't matter, but like to them it matters, like they want to track down who was this one vote that didn't vote the way they said they would. And so I don't know, like if I'm the HOH, I would almost want a plan like that. And I think Big Brother 20 definitely utilized that the most, where it's like
Hmm.
our alliance, we know the numbers are on our side, so we're going to vote this way, but we're not going to tell the whole house. We're going to make them vote and look silly. And it
Hmm.
worked. It made them so
Hmm.
confused. It made them flustered. It made them target their own alliance because they weren't sure who was
Yep.
voting where. And so, I don't really fully understand why you want a unanimous vote, especially if you're HOH. Because if you're HOH, you don't have any blood on your hands when it comes to the vote. So nobody can get
Hmm.
mad at you where those numbers fall necessarily. You're just like, hey, I just
Hmm.
nominated them. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's how it went week 1 of Big Brother 20 with Tyler as the HOH. Like, they flipped the vote, but Tyler was still able to communicate with the other side because he was HOH. So they knew he was the one person that didn't break the vote.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's voting's so interesting. Hot take. That's
Hot
my
take,
hot take.
voting is
Voting's so
interesting.
interesting. Even though
No.
I hate it and it's frustrating what it's become, it's it is an interesting way to play the game. I want him to try not telling the totals, not saying 13 to 0. Just let him figure it out.
And I just think I want to see more creativity with the way you vote. Because I think Big Brother has kind of hit its stride and hasn't really progressed at all in the strategy of that. And I think that's a common complaint with anytime we talk about modern Big Brother is like things just are the same every single season. But I think like I want to see someone come in and try a different strategy. Even if it fails, I want to see them try it, and not just do what
Hmm.
has been done the past 5 seasons.
Yeah, they just give you the two options though. I think that's the hard part is there's just the two options. So it's going to be one of those two. You can't get as creative as doing like a 4-3-2 vote, which is super fun to watch in Survivor to see that
Yeah.
sort of thing, but you just don't see it in Big Brother. I wonder, my first thought is what if they did like a write-in situation on Big Brother, where if you can get like 2/3 of the vote or something towards somebody who's not on the block, they can still get evicted.
Oh, that's funny.
That'd be an interesting dynamic.
Kind of like that. Wow.
But towards the end of the game, it'd get tough because you'd have like 5 people and you'd need, I guess, 4 votes. That's a lot, but 4 votes that are just all on one side. I think you'd encourage large alliances though, so maybe it wouldn't be super beneficial. But you need another wrinkle other than these are your two options. Take your pick.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Yeah.
gonna get interesting by itself. You need to do something because everybody's gonna continue to vote unanimously
Yeah. Well,
until I get in there and break it up.
I think the only hope is that if these two big alliances remain somewhat together, Kirsten was just a person living in the house, like not working with anyone, so it felt
Hmm.
pretty unanimous. Uh, and from what I can tell, the handful is not aware of these other alliances, so they're not they don't know that Felicia has this big alliance. So I think that was
Hmm.
kind of part of it, where it was like between the two of them, they didn't care so much. Where the other side was like, no, we need Felicia. So I think that's probably more why it was.
Well, I think they might have had a decent idea. First of all, I think Izzy definitely tipped Riley off to the fact that there is another side, regardless of whether or not they think there's another side who knows that they're another side, and that's the big thing that Izzy gave up. That was just so dumb to give up. Um, so I think if Riley was paying attention, she should know that. And then they talked about it. They showed the little clip. I think Blue being like, "Well, what if we flip the vote?" I don't think they had the numbers to do that, so I don't think they ever really fully considered it. But I think they would. I think they have an idea of who the other side would be, and I think they have an idea that they're probably sticking together as well.
I'm trying to do the numbers now. I think they would have had it. They would have had
Well, Luke
Jag,
left.
Cameron, Blue, Matt, America and Corey. That's 6. You would need 7.
And it was 13.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they would need Jared. But like according to their logic, if they actually think they had Jared, they had the numbers.
That's true.
I don't know. I don't know why they didn't do it. That's actually interesting.
If they
the more I
try to
think
do
about it.
that, and you're Suri, what do you say Jared should do? Should he vote with to save Felicia or vote Felicia out?
No,
Do you
I
want
think
him to get in with the other side more, or do you want to save her?
No,
more?
I think you vote to save Felicia because they're not going to know
Okay.
that Jared was the one vote. You know, like that's
true.
That's the advantage of Big Brother. It's like you have absolutely no idea who voted that way. So that's
Mhm.
all that does is cause distrust between them, and then you keep a number. Because now with Felicia, back, so I mean, I think that's
I think it comes out more often than not. I don't know if you're giving that enough credit.
what comes out.
I think a lot of times they like know who the rogue vote. I think, well, not a lot of times because like Big Brother 20, they never knew who the rogue vote was. But I think whenever it happens, people figure it out pretty quick. Maybe that's not a fair thing to say.
I think it just depends. I think it depends how Jared composes himself. I think, yeah, I mean, Big Brother 20, I think is the best example because they kept doing it. And I think there's the classic where I think it was Scotty that voted a certain way, but then Brett just raised his hands like, it was me. I was the vote. And Scotty's like, no, I was. It
Yep.
was like this, like, fantastic. So I think, like, it just depends on how you react to it. Or if someone, maybe Izzy just spills. That's very possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the other person that we saw that just was really dumb in their gameplay was Red.
Red.
The audacity to walk into the HOH's room on the first week and name their entire alliance to them.
And
That's
then
outrageous.
to play it off as if, like, this is just what I've noticed. I've just noticed that, like, whoa. All right, dude.
I think maybe there's a way that you could present that as like, hey, this is what I've seen. Like, you seem really close with these people, and maybe just stick to the 5 that are really close because I think there's kind of an in group there that everybody sees.
Mhm.
Maybe everybody doesn't see it, but just name a couple and not the whole group. If you name the entire alliance, you're a target immediately, and that's just wild move. Wild move.
Yeah, I will say the good thing for him is it doesn't seem like it's affected much. And if anything, it kind of just got into Riley's head because she has been paranoid all week.
Yeah.
Because, and I almost, this is where I do feel for her because, again, like the Jared Cerise situation isn't something you can account for. So, like, that's not even really her fault that happened.
Mhm.
But, like, she really is taking the heat of this because now the whole house knows about this large alliance and she is at the center because she is the one in power who, whether or not she created it, she's the face of it now.
Yeah, she had a bit of a meltdown this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bit of a meltdown.
Which was tough to see. Like, I can understand people that are like, "Oh my gosh, she's so dramatic." Whatever. Being HOH and like being thrown into that position isn't easy. Like I think we've seen repeatedly the first HOH power, like they have a power trip or something happens. Like it happens so much. So to say that she's just being dramatic is ridiculous. I also think there were people who were kind of egging it on a little bit, perhaps, or just like
You want
pushing
to
it or
drop
not.
names?
Yeah, I feel like so. I haven't seen all of this. I haven't watched all of the long clips apparently. But there's something going on with Cameron and Riley. Not like romantically. I want to be very clear with that. I don't think that's part of it at all. But he's kind of become this like father figure for Riley because Riley's dad passed away. I don't know how long ago. But so she has like that kind of thing in her life, and he's kind of become like a surrogate father for her in the Big Brother house. And so he's just like sitting there talking her through like these super emotional moments and not like helping in any real meaningful way from what I've seen. People are saying that it's gross and that it's weird and like makes them uncomfortable. I would like to think that it's coming from a good place, but it could also be seen as very, very emotionally manipulative, whether intentional or not intentional. So I don't want to speak to his intentions, but that's happening, Nathan. What do you think about that? What do you know about all that situation?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the same clips. He's just kind of creepy, in my opinion. The one clip I saw specifically, I think he said it in a joking way, so I don't want to be like, oh, he's dangerous or anything. But he straight up was like, if we weren't on TV right now, I'd hit you, to Riley, and like like a haha. But I'm like, that's weird. That's not a funny joke. Like, I don't know. It's just.
You gotta hope that he's talking about like a smack on the back of the head, like nothing but
I
yeah.
guess, but yeah, I don't know. So like, yeah, I mean, I don't know him, so I'm not gonna be like you're a bad person, but just weird vibes and it's like one of those things where I think like I don't know if you feel like this, but I feel like this as a guy. Like there are just certain positions I don't want to be in, especially when it comes to like a girl like that who is that vulnerable and going through this horrible week and her dad passes away. It's like, do you really want to be the one that like steps in and be like, "Oh, here, I'll be," like I don't know, like have someone like maybe there's no one else in the house for her, but like can does that have to be you in this position right now?
Yep. I volunteer, and you know this, Nathan. I volunteer with youth students at my church. And so it's like teenagers, and I am so intentional to make sure that I'm not in the situation with one of like the teenage girls that are in our youth group in that situation where I'm the one providing that comfort. That's just not appropriate. And I know it's a little bit different. It's an adult and a teenager. That is different. Riley's an adult and she's 24. She's been an adult for a while. She can handle herself for sure. But putting yourself in a situation where you're the one that's comforting somebody and yeah, is it necessarily appropriate? I would avoid it personally. I think that's all I'm saying. I won't say that it's necessarily inappropriate, but it does feel a little ucky for some people.
Yeah.
Some people are being a little extreme about it. I will say that. Some of the tweets and stuff that I saw, it's like, okay, I don't think he's doing that. I don't think it's that far. But it's definitely something to watch out for. And well, the clip that I saw, sorry, just rambling at this
Yeah,
point.
keep
Clip
going.
that I saw was him sitting there, like holding her hand, like I'll be there for you, like I'm there here for you. You're here, like we're together. I got you. Like I'm not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. Very encouraging things. But then I'm seeing tweets today that he's already like jumping from the Handful Alliance, and he's not fully devoted to them, and he's kind of going over to the other side of the house. And it's like you can't make these promises and like do this and then just leave someone like that. That's so damaging when somebody's in such an emotional state. And so that makes me that I didn't like at all. If that's true, feeds have been off, so whether or not he really jumped ship, I'm not entirely sure, but that's what I've read.
That's what I heard as well. I'm pretty sure that alliance is mostly done. The only reason I don't want to say it for sure is just because we haven't seen that officially on the episode, so it's hard to really speculate, especially because, like you said, it's been 2 days without live feed, so who knows where the game is at right now. But yeah, it's not looking good for him, and I hope people pick up how sporadic he is in this, because this is just like,
Yeah.
like you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't out her like that so fast.
Like I said, it could be unintentional and it could just be like not sure how to handle the situation, just trying to be helpful. And I definitely want to open the door for that. It's just something to keep your eye on, I would say.
Agreed. Is there anyone else you want to run through quick? Just any thoughts? I know we talked about probably the most exciting ones. Some of them, I mean, like Blue. Do you have any takes on Blue as of now?
No, I don't have any takes on America, Blue,
Okay,
Bowie.
real quick. I actually like America. I
Yeah?
think she could be a sleeper to go pretty far. Only because
Yes.
there have been several instances where on the live feed she talks about watching the live feeds previously. Like, I think she knows the game, and I actually really like her position because she is not in the initial circle of the handful. She's kind of on this outskirts, brought in. But I think if there is this feud that brews between the two main alliances, I think she could end up not really damaged too much by it. Now, I could be wrong,
Yeah.
but like that's the vibes I'm getting. I don't have much more to say because we haven't seen a lot from her, but I don't know why I just feel good about it.
Yeah, she seems very, very much in the background. I honestly didn't know that she's talked about like watching the feeds. That makes me a little bit more confident. Feels like she's playing it the way you should play it if you're somebody who knows the game pretty well.
Yes.
Like just sit back, Let everybody else do stuff for a little bit. Make sure you're in conversations. If you're in the Big Brother house for more than 2 days and you haven't been talked to about an alliance at all, you're the problem. Like, you need to get out. You need to start having conversations. You need to not be overbearing about it, but you need to make sure that you're being included in some of these numbers or being pulled in, because there it happens quick. It might be an alliance that disappears after 50 minutes. You still have to be in those conversations.
Mhm.
But yeah, I like America. That was a little bit of a side tangent. I think Felicia's another one that I want to talk about a little bit more.
I love Felicia. I really like Felicia.
I do too. She's for me, she's talking a big game, and I'm sitting here like, ooh, Felicia, you think you're that confident? You think you're killing it that much? Like, oh, we'll see, we'll see. I'll let you play.
I think it'd be so fun if she wins this season. Are you aware of her microphone saga?
Yep. Yes, I am. We should
She
discuss that.
keeps dropping them in the toilet. I think there's been 2 in the toilet.
One in the pool and then another in the toilet. I know the fourth one was in the toilet.
Well, and then the hot tub, when she fell in the hot tub.
Yeah, the third one was when she fell into the hot tub, which they showed us. Then now I guess she has it in like a little plastic baggie,
Yep.
which there has to be a wire coming out of it, so that's not even like an effective way to protect it.
The best was the clip of her falling in the hot tub, because this was the first time that the backyard was open to them all season. So they get to go outside, blah blah. She splashes in the hot tub, and then America goes, Felicia, we're not allowed in there yet. We're not allowed, like, as if she meant to. She thought that she just jumped in.
Well, she was like stepping in, like she was lowering her foot in backwards.
Yeah,
like
because she
trying
wanted to
in.
feel the water. That's what she said. She's like, I just wanted to dip my
That's
toes.
what it was.
Yeah.
Oh.
So she tried dipping her toes and
That
just
makes
fell,
sense.
and then America's yelling, "Get out! We can't get in." They said
Oh,
no.
America's like, don't break the rules. Don't break the rules.
Oh, it was so good. But yeah, I like her. I like her a lot. And I don't know. I think I actually really like this older alliance and that she is in this. And I don't know. She isn't the typical, like, who was the old person last year? Terrence? You know, like, he was a dud, right? Like, he
I
didn't
forgot he
he
existed.
didn't have anything to do. Like, I love that
No.
she is in the game and she is like wanting to be in the game. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think this alliance forms without Suri in the house?
I mean, it's hard to tell because I mean, she is the glue, you know? Like, that's the reason Izzy is here. That kind of solidifies this, like, older person alliance, you know? Because, like, without her, does Izzy, who's 32, connect with Felicia? Like, hey, we're both old. Probably not.
Yeah. I almost want to say they would have fallen in together no matter what. Because I feel like they would have been on the outskirts of the handful no matter what. Because they were all in a room together. That's what kind of brought them together.
Mm.
So I think but I don't think it would have come together as quickly as it has.
Well, and I think that's the interesting about this alliance is because every year we see the potential, like, hey, if the outsiders group up, they could defeat the big alliance, but it never happens. And so this is like one of the first times where the outsiders are actually forming an alliance together. So I think that is so. Like, would that have happened without Jared spilling it to Suri? I don't know, but
Yeah, that's all I got on Felicia.
Bowie. The only thing I'll say is, do you think she's regretting lying about her age and saying she's younger? Like, that was a close call. That was a close call.
Yeah, and she ends up in the old person alliance anyways. What a
Right.
move!
Can you imagine, like, what if she said her age was just like a couple years younger and they don't include her because of that? That would have been so funny.
That would have been very fun. She would have gravitated to that group of people no matter what. No matter how much she wants to be a part of the young people, she's not that.
I don't really have any thoughts on Mimi.
Nope, me either. She seems to like be fitting in pretty well, which you like to see.
Yeah. Jag.
I'm still a big Jag fan. Not for any particular reason. You always love those heartwarming stories of like him and Heisem connecting. That was cool to see. Um, and yeah, I love the duo of him and Riley. I hope that's just like a power duo that lasts a while. I enjoy those two together. I'm
Yeah,
excited to see
there's
Riley not in
a.
power and able to settle in a little bit. That'll be nice.
That's true. There's a lot of shipping going on between the two of them on the internet. I don't know if there's anything to like. I don't know if there's any proof for that, but that's a thing that
Yeah.
people are.
No, but it's a guy and a girl who are friends, which means they got a date.
It's true.
Everybody knows the rules.
I think the
They're
last person.
they're only a year apart. Dang.
The last person is Matt. The only thing I really say for Matt is they got to do something about the diary room. That's just.
He's at a severe disadvantage, man.
Did you catch the diary room? I know you kind of skipped
Yeah.
the votes. That like, how do you mess that up, big brother? How do you not have someone in there telling him like, "Hey, you're done"? It's so awkward. Like, why are you putting him in this position? It made me mad. Like, I made
Can
me
they
so
see
mad.
the producers that are sitting there, or is it a wall?
I don't.
I feel like it's a wall.
Well, they can't see Julie. It's just like a camera. So like, I know for a fact he can't see Julie. But like, I always assumed that there were producers in there, at least for the diary room portions. So I don't know why there wouldn't be a producer in there for votes too. But like,
I've always thought it was like the camera and then a wall, and so they can't actually see anybody; they just hear. Because then you'll see people sitting there like
sure.
looking down when they're in the diary room answering questions, not actually looking at the camera.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. That's could be. But like, I don't know. Like, how did they not think that through? Like, you have someone who's deaf, and you don't think like, hey, we need a way to communicate to him that. It was so awkward.
I guess
I mean,
on
not for
premiere
him,
night,
but like, no.
he couldn't hear Julie during premiere night when they like got to their stations, and he just had to like kind of look around and figure out what he needed to do for the challenge for the competition.
It's so
And
pathetic.
he had the like kicking yourself in the butt, which isn't isn't super complicated, so that helps maybe. But yeah, it's just you need to be better equipped to like help him out as much as you can.
Exactly, because I mean,
Whatever
like,
that looks
the
like.
thing is, they're just gonna pat themselves on the back that like, look how inclusive we are, when you're actually doing quite a bit of damage to this person, I would say, by like bringing them in here and then isolating them through all sorts of micro-aggressive ways. It's so bad.
Have like a talk to text or something in the diary room for him. Like that would be great to have for as he's just listening.
Yeah, like, we have ways to do this. People live normal lives with his condition, so it's like not hard to do. They just clearly didn't think through it.
Thankfully, the rest of the house guests, from what I've seen, he's been included in a lot of conversations. And he can read lips, and it seems like I guess we don't really know if he's tracking that well, but he's been in a lot of conversations. So I like to think that that means he's managing.
Yeah.
I guess for the bathroom, he's like leaving his mic pack outside the door with his name, so they know that he's in there because he might not hear them knock. I guess that's one thing that he's doing that I saw.
That's actually really smart.
Yeah.
Good for him. Yeah, I like him. He seems like a good
When you're in
dude.
his position, I'm sure you learn the innovative ways to like
you have to
live life.
You absolutely have to, and it's something that, I mean, I don't know. To like Big Brother's credit, like unless you live with that, I'm sure you don't think about that date of like every single detail. But hopefully they adjust. That's live TV. It's tough. that's
Yeah.
uh
Yeah, and it's just that's Big Brother, I suppose. Other than that, I think that's everybody.
that's everyone. I'm refreshing Twitter to see if there's anything in HOH tonight. I don't think we're gonna get anything. It's fine.
Yeah, nothing on the feeds yet.
Fully caught up. Yeah. Is there anything else we need to go over?
I don't think so.
Covers it all.
What would you rate Riley's HOH all overall?
Oh man, that's tough. I'd rate it pretty low. What am I rating this on? Is like a letter grade? Is it 1 through 5, 10, 13? color
1
grade.
to 1 to 5. 5 stars. 0 to 5 stars.
Is this like a letterbox rating? So can I do halves?
Mm-hmm. Go for it.
Okay, I'll do a 2-star.
Really?
Only because I think you want to walk out of an HOH feeling like it helped your game. And I don't know if at best I think this was a neutral week. Like, I don't think the HOH helped or harmed her game. I think her game isn't looking great right now. Actually, I didn't think the HOH harmed her. Because like I said earlier, I think it made her the face of this alliance.
See, I'd put it at like a 3.5. I think, flirting with a 4 a little bit. I think my thought is you got out somebody that everybody wanted out. You didn't necessarily burn any bridges. You didn't hurt any feelings. You got out the one person that everybody wanted to get out. And yes, she's now the face of this alliance. But if it's dissipating, everybody's going to know that. Everybody's going to know who's jumping ship and how that's going to happen. And I think you don't love to see somebody crying and like being upset throughout their week. But her being so young, I think that's just gonna get her sympathy. I don't think people are gonna be as willing to just go for her immediately, whether it was intentional or not. I think that's what it just naturally gains. So I think she does leave this week. She didn't hurt any feelings. Yes, she's seen as the face of this alliance, but I don't know that that's true, and I think that image will fade in the next couple weeks unless she wins more.
I suppose. I think by that logic, though, I think it's still like very new. And I think like for me, I think the standard of an HOH is like you want to walk out better. And so I think especially like week 1,
That's fair.
you want like you look at the best week 1 HOHs. It's Nicole from 18. It's Tyler. It's Hayden. Like what they did was they formed an alliance because they were in power that week. And I think that's what she tried to do. She definitely attempted to like, I have this power, let me utilize it. And I don't think it went the way she wanted, which is a fascinating trend. I think, I don't know, maybe by next season we'll have a better, the tides are turning on 1 HOHs. Had her last year, Daniel, the year before, Frenchie, like not a good run so far, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
Up for debate with her, right? We'll have to wait to see how she does the rest of the season.
I think it's partially we're seeing a different archetype winning these past few seasons.
That's true too.
Because usually it's the Cody, it's the Tyler, it's the like macho.
It's also usually not the black house guest, so that also is the
True. That's a truth fact. But it's usually one of the like more fit younger guys who people were going to gravitate for an alliance anyways. So would Tyler have still found his way into an alliance had he not won that first HOH? Probably. Are we giving more credit? Is it the difference between what is it? Correlation and causation? Is there not really actually any causation, but there is a correlation between the first HOH and alliances?
That's interesting.
Something we can't dig into right now and be entertaining. So let's call it.
I hate when you just drop something that makes me think and causes me not to podcast properly.
Yeah, the thing is, we would have to like get into the numbers. We'd have to look at each one and like value them, and that's
which is
not
something that both
today.
of us want to do, but we're not going to right now.
Absolutely.
Maybe we'll do our research for next week, but yeah, I think we're gonna wrap this one up for now. And we'll be back next Thursday for another eviction. Probably not another house guest.
Maybe recording together next week. I don't know. I haven't told you this. I might be in town.
You might be in town next week. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, who knows? Maybe. Wow. News to me. The multiverse is continuing to expand, apparently.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
What if Tony podcasted from my place instead of his? What kind of
I don't know if the world can handle that.
Open up. All right. Well, for more episodes, you know where to find it. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts, really. We are on Twitter. Are we calling it X now? Is that what we have to do? I don't know.
I'm calling it Twitter until I get yelled at.
Twitter. Instagram at NJP Pod, and TikTok. I forgot TikTok at NJP Pod. Looking roasted over
YouTube? Did you
there,
say
which is
YouTube?
fun. YouTube. Oh my goodness, I gotta add another one. YouTube. Not Game All Personal. That's where it's at. Watch the video if you're not watching this video podcast. It's fine, I guess. I don't know. Your faces.
We don't do anything fancy, but you can see our faces.
Until next week, I'm Nathan, Tony, and we'll see you next week. So that twice.
Remember to love one another.